St. Catherine of Genoa, who was kind of the expert on purgatory, she wrote, "When I beheld that vision in which I saw the magnitude of the stain of even one least sin against God, I do not know why I did not die. I said, I no longer marvel that hell is so horrible, since it was made for sin, for even hell, as I have seen it, I do not believe to be really proportionate to the dreadfulness of sin. On the contrary, it seems to me that even in hell, God is very merciful, since I have beheld the terrible stain caused by but one venial sin." And Pope John Paul II taught in 1999, we're invited to cleanse ourselves from every defilement of body and spirit, because the encounter with God requires absolute purity. Every trace of attachment to evil must be eliminated, every imperfection of the soul corrected. Purification must be complete, and this is precisely what is meant by the Church's teaching on purgatory. So we have to remember that heaven, and I don't think enough people preach about this either, heaven is like being married to God, according to the Scripture. In Isaiah 62, we read, "As a young man marries a virgin, your builder shall marry you. As a bridegroom rejoices in his bride, so shall your God rejoice in you." And actually, Gregory the Great said, "A husband of every Christian soul is God, for she is joined to him by faith." So, because we're going to be that intimate with God, who is so holy, we need to be holy. If we were just in a big audience, worshiping God in the kingdom, that would be one thing. But we're going to be in the bridal suite. And the whole problem with gender is not a problem, because, as the Catechism says, God is above male or female. Okay, so both men and women are created in the image and likeness of God, which made me very happy to understand. But we call God Father, as we should, and we don't play with that and call him our mother or our parent or something, because he has a fatherly role, he has a male role in relationship to us. And so always in spiritual writing, the soul is always spoken of as she, not because men will be women in the kingdom, but because we have a feminine role in relationship to God, who has a male role in relationship to us, okay? But it does say in the Catechism that God is above male or female, okay? Now, how about the duration of purgatory? St. Robert Bellarmine wrote that there is no doubt that the pains of purgatory are not limited to 10 or 20 years, and that they last, in some cases, entire centuries. Father Reginald Garrigou-Lagrange, who was a really great theologian in the 20th century, he wrote The Three Ways of the Spiritual Life. He wrote that theological opinion in general favors long duration of purgatorial purification. Private revelations, that is, appearances to the saints, mention 3 or 4 centuries or even more, especially for those who have had high office or great responsibility. Father Blessed James Alberione, who founded the Society of St. Paul and the Daughters of St. Paul, wrote, "Many revelations say that only an hour in purgatory seems longer than a century." Here are a couple of stories. There was a story told by St. Antoninus, and it's also told by Blessed James Alberione, who just died in the 60s or 70s. A man who was religious suffered for a long time from a painful illness, and he asked God to permit him to die so that he might be released from his pain. In answer to his prayer, God charged his angel to offer him his choice, either to die immediately and submit to the pains of purgatory for 3 days, or to bear his sickness for another year and then go directly to heaven. Well, he said, "I'll take the 3 days, no question." Big mistake. After about an hour, his angel went to visit him, and on seeing him, the poor patient complained that he had been left so long in these torments. And yet he said, "You promised that I should remain here only 3 days." how long, asked the angel, do you think you already suffered? At least for several years, and I was only supposed to suffer 3 days. The angel said, well, actually, you've only been here 1 hour. So, it goes slowly. Huh?
Which saint wrote that?
St. Antoninus tells the story,
Oh, wow.
and Blessed James Alberione repeats that in a book that he wrote in the 60s.
Wow.
And Alberione actually wrote in the beginning of his book that I didn't intend to write about extraordinary things, but something, he didn't say what, but it sounds supernatural, something came to me that indicated I should talk about extraordinary things. Now, I have to tell you that Father Benedict Rochelle doesn't like all these stories, like this one, okay? But Alberione is blessed, so that's a pretty good sign. Father Benedict feels, well, there is something in Trent that says you don't want to overdo it when you, but at the Council of Trent did say that bishops must preach about purgatory. And I think that's something that's been forgotten in many cases. But it also says that you don't want to overdo it and, you know, make people climb the walls in fear. But I don't know about you, but that doesn't make me climb the wall into fear. It just makes me realize that sin is a bad thing, and we're going to be really close to God, and we got to be holy to be close to God. There was another. I'll tell you one more of these extraordinary stories. Two religious were holy, and they one of them fell sick and learned in a vision that he was going to die soon, and that he should be saved. But he would remain in purgatory only until the first Mass would be celebrated for the repose of his soul. So he was very joyful at this, and he told his friend, and he asked him to be sure to say Mass as soon as you hear that I've died. And so he did. He died, and his friend right away went in to say Mass. And the friend was making his thanksgiving and praying for his departed friend, and his friend appeared to him in glory, but he was a little bit scolding because he said, why did you wait so long to say the Mass? He said, well, did you not leave me to suffer for more than a year before offering Mass? And he said, no, I began Mass immediately after your death, not a hour after you had died.
Wow.
So what Garrigou-Legrand said is right, and that is that it seems like a long time. And I think St. Catherine of Genoa said that too in the quote I gave earlier. So, it's not a kind of place you want to go, okay? You want to try to avoid purgatory. Now, St. Catherine of Genoa actually wrote a treatise on purgatory. She said, the souls endure a torment so extreme that no tongue can describe it, nor could the understanding conceive the least notion of it, if God did not make it known by a particular grace. No tongue can express, no mind form any idea of what purgatory is. As to the suffering, it is equal to that of hell. Okay. So, Robert Bellarmine said the same thing. Almost all theologians teach that the reprobate and the souls in purgatory suffer the action of the same fire. The reprobate would be those in hell, and the souls in purgatory. Okay? So, and this is from Catherine of Genoa, the divine essence is of such purity that the soul that has the slightest imperfection in itself would cast itself into 1,000 hells rather than find itself in the presence of the divine majesty with that sting on it. So, it's a rather grim thing that we are facing here. And they say that the loss of the vision of God, not being able to see God, is more painful than the pain of fire. That the souls would rather see God and be in the fire than to not see God and be free of the fire.